Egyptians did. They might have heard of the Egyptian magicians in the Bible dueling with Moses. But when you stand before the worshipful master, you stand with your body erect and your feet forming the angle of an oblong square. The Egyptians did it, the Masons do it. So you'll see here an oblong square at the Bank of America, and it actually shows the 3 different footing positions of the first 3 degrees. Or the oblong square that is in Dell, or the winged oblong square of Sprint, or the oblong square of Sam's Club, or a more familiar oblong square of Enron, and perhaps the most infamous oblong square, the swastika. Do you know Hitler was into the occult? Do you know who else is? They say, to be one, ask one. This is because you must join the fraternity of your own free will and accord. Well, I think he asked. So you're starting to get an idea who's running things around here? Let's get a little deeper into this. Look at the Travis County Courthouse, leveled by the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Texas. And look at the date at which it was leveled. 5,930 AL. This is the Anno Lucius calendar, and it dates back to ancient Babylon. So it's the year 6005, dear President. So you shouldn't be surprised to see the Masonic compass and square show up on buildings, general contractors, because the Masons were builders after all, and they build in the grand Egyptian style. So when I got to the Philadelphia Lodge, I wasn't at all surprised to come across an Egyptian room. There are many things to talk about in this room, but right now we'll focus on the winged disc. This was the winged son of Ra. It was a symbol to use to denote God, or the gods. And now, it's a symbol for pharmaceuticals. Used to be the chariots of the gods. Now it's the chariots of man. Could it be Harleys in space? Or a variation on a theme, a winged square. Because it's said when you're a Freemason that you're a square man. You do things by the square. So you'll find the square of GM, the square of Wells Fargo, the square of Home Depot, or the square of American Express, or perhaps the swastika square of Chase Banks. Because the square was important in Egypt. The cube was a symbol of man perfected. A Mason would say that he is a perfect ashlar, a perfect spiritual being inhabiting a material body. And the cube is used in magic. The magician's altar was a double cube, a powerful symbol of control. So you see here the double cube of Chevron. Of course, I have to see 3-dimensionally. Or perhaps the cube of Gateway, or the game cube. Shall we say Knight in a cube? Or how about the cube of Fox? Or the cube of Cisco? They make all our food, but could it be that aliens are in charge? Or the pyramid with the eye? Now the eye symbolizes the great architect of the universe to the Freemasons. So they use this symbol on the dollar bill to denote a work in progress. The eye floating above the pyramid is a symbol of this work. It was only when they capped the Great Pyramid that the work was completed. They failed in capping the Great Pyramid with gold. USA Today even read, Muslims stopped the Freemasons from capping the Great Pyramid with gold. Well, they call the apex the stone that the builders refused. But you'll find the pyramid showing up in Austin all around. Or like the triple pyramid of Adidas. or the eye in the pyramid of American Online, with the Eye of Ra, AOL, Time Warner, Freemasons, magicians. I think you're starting to see who owns things. But what goes on under that golden capstone? Well, it's not surprising to me that this brotherhood often seeks the light, worshiping the sun. You see here, the sun is, the symbol is a certain point within a circle. Same symbol on target. Or the rising sun of Frito-Lay. Well, it's said in the Bible, let him who have ears to hear, listen. This means there's a coded message. Let's see if you can figure out the coded message in this speech.
Oh, as the framers were crafting our Constitution, Benjamin Franklin was often seen in Independence Hall, looking at a painting of the sun low on the horizon. When at long last the Constitution finally was signed, Mr. Franklin said, I have often wondered whether that sun was rising or setting. Today I have the happiness to know it is a rising sun. Well, 2 centuries later, we know the sun will always rise on America as long as each new generation lights the fire of freedom. Our children are ready. So again, the torch is passed to a new century of young Americans.
Young Americans. If you noticed, all these Freemasons wear aprons. This one's George Washington's. If you see the 5-pointed star sitting there, and down below, the skull and bones. This was a symbol of the Templars, which is now a degree within Freemasonry. If you know anything about Templars, you know that they were into gold and arches. But it became illegal to be a Templar, and on Friday the 13th, 1307, they had to run. They were killing them all off, the Pope and the King. So they took to Ireland and started the York Rite of Freemasonry, and they took to Scotland and started the Scottish Rite. They also took to the seas, still flying their Templar skull and bones, and still after the gold. But yet another Templar symbol is the double cross. Now, I shouldn't have to explain that one, but you also shouldn't be surprised to see it here on Exxon. Because Masonic logos show up through corporate America and the world. They're all over. Take the compass square with the G, for example. Now, if you see here the camel standing between 2 pyramids with the Great Pyramid missing. Well, if you remember, the Kabbalah has to do with Hebrew, and the Hebrew letter G means camel. Or Phillips 66. 66 in the Magician's Dictionary is known as the number of the Qiploth, or the Great Work. Oh, these are 2 different things, I hope. The Qiploth are known as the fallen angels. Definition, the shades of the dead whose names appear in the Book of Thoth or the Book of the Law. They may contain formula of magical powers, the souls of those that died insane. Complete understanding could result in the destruction of the ego and therefore lead to actual madness. Or the Great Work, symbolized here by the eye floating above the pyramid. But the Great Work is noted below. It says Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new order of the secular age, or the new order of the age of irreverence, or without God. If you look, the Hebrew letter V equals 6. So if you translate this, 66 will become VV. Or we know, W. I don't know why we call it a W when the rest of the world calls it a double V. I'm definitely not surprised to see a wing W. Or the VW, where if you look at it, you'll see that it's actually two V's interlaced. This denotes the original 66, being the number of the great work, or the fallen angels. But he crossed it, making a third V equaling 666 in his magical Kabbalism, as Hitler knew he was an Antichrist. What does Dodge? Demons. Well, it always goes back to the Freemasons. I like to point out to any ladies who are a member of the Eastern Star that it does say fatal inside that inverted pentagram. Even the streets at the White House and the streets of Congress are inverted pentagrams. These are the actual street plans.